Hello, I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the loops found in Westworld, HBO's TV series, and how they relate to our own thought patterns. How do they relate to human thoughts? If this is something that interests you, stay tuned. After fully watching the HBO series Westworld, it has put a few things into perspective about life. One such thing is the concept of loops, where a host unconsciously repeats a loop again and again because they were programmed to do so. A host is an android that operates as an interactive non-player character within the Westworld theme park. A loop is a story that a host repeats on a daily basis as a part of the theme park they reside in, and it interconnects to the loops and stories of the other hosts to give their limited reality greater continuity. A loop gives purpose and meaning to the life of the host, because it is their programmed purpose within the theme park. Often, when I read a Facebook post by another, whether they are supposedly spiritual, new agey, needy, bold, awake, asleep, etc., I can see them firmly entrenched in repeating their unconscious loops. They do not know why they are unhappy or why they are feeling as they are, and they have very little comprehension or connection to anything that may make them happy or aware. They talk about their program loops as if they were a cornerstone of their existence and identity. And they are probably right, for without their stories, painful or otherwise, there would be little for them to be or do. Each experience they have is compared and referenced against their loops. It is their truth that all things are measured against. Question for reflection: what loops and stories are you still stuck repeating and referencing within yourself? They aren't even aware that they aren't aware, and that they are repeating pre-programmed loops and complex algorithms, or that the only real spiritual work that needs to be done is within them. For that matter, they aren't even conscious enough to understand the difference between within and without, between the meaning of an esoteric principle and the word itself. They think that saying the word and understanding the concept behind the word are the same thing. They do not realize that it is our understanding of a word or concept that gives life to it. In fact, they use words that they have heard from other so-called spiritual people, but they are repeating them without understanding what they are repeating. Empty words without context, clarity, reason, or meaning. In fact, I would say that all kinds of people do this, not just spiritual people, but people from all walks of life. They haven't really thought themselves to their own conclusions. They're not actually a scientist. They're just repeating the science they saw on TV. They're being a good student, they're being a good automaton, somebody who is obedient to the system. They're just repeating words that lack meaning, context, reason. Have you ever used a word or phrase without intimately comprehending its meaning? You were using it because lots of people were using it, or because you learned it in school, but you really didn't understand its use from the inside out? The term cornerstone, or foundation stone, is a concept derived from the first stone set in the construction of a masonry foundation, important since all other stones will be set in reference to this stone, thus determining the position of the entire structure. That's from Wikipedia. In reference to the hosts, the cornerstone is a traumatic memory that is the root cause programmed into a host. It gives their life meaning, and the loops, personality, and behavioral patterns are all tied into this cause as a core motivation for how the host will respond and act within their loops and interactions. Humans also have a cornerstone memory, thought pattern, and reason embedded in their personality that is the foundation for all of their loops. It is a cause that motivates their behaviors from within their loops. In the Westworld TV series, it is demonstrated that a host is programmed to be blind and unconscious to the things in their reality that are outside of their loops and that might cause them dissonance, or worse yet, to question the nature of their reality. In this way, a door can be out in the open and yet hidden in plain sight, because a host can't perceive of its existence. To them, it doesn't exist. The biggest thing that they are unaware of is the core coding that comprises their own cornerstone and loops. In this way, they are kept in the dark about their own nature and the nature of their reality. How much truth is hidden in plain sight that you miss, that your friends, family, and loved ones miss? How many clues are actually in our reality right now that actually show us what we're living in? How much of that are we missing because we're blind? When somebody is experiencing an emotional trigger and/or upset, it means that somebody or something has come into a conflict with one of their loops and the core cornerstone which supports it. At this point of conflict, there are two contrasting options to choose from: to lash out and defend the core cornerstone and loop, or to resolve the conflict through asking why questions with emotional processing, shadow work, and self-reflection. The first does not seek to understand the core causal reasons that underlie the upset, and avoids becoming conscious and aware of their core programming. This is a negative feedback loop that was carefully added to prevent humans from wandering from their pre-programmed loops. The second type of individual explores their unconscious loops and programming to shine the light of conscious awareness upon each line of code. Once a loop is fully observed and understood from each angle, it will dissolve and be unable to motivate a person's behaviors anymore. Each loop has layers and layers of coding to be explored, so it can be quite the undertaking to become aware of all the unconscious reasons that motivate one's loops. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." He was meaning that there are all these unconscious programs that we are running, and if we don't understand them, then we think it's something from outside of ourselves. And it really is something outside of ourselves, but it's really just our programming inside. And then once we make that conscious, it no longer directs our life. We're no longer serving the code. We can now operate free from it. When one deconstructs their loops with emotional process work, shadow work, and self-reflection, they are patiently working towards identifying their core cause and cornerstone, so that they can neutralize its influence over their feelings and behaviors. Once neutralized, their core motivating factor will no longer be a traumatic memory or intense need, but their own free will volition and spontaneous urges from their source. Their new cornerstone will instead be what many call Christ consciousness. In this way, they will no longer be unconscious loop repeaters, but conscious experience creators. Are you actively deconstructing your loops through making what you are unconscious of conscious? What does deconstructing your loops mean to you? How would that look? What would it entail? If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you'd like to stay up to date with my videos, please subscribe. If you would like to be notified via email whenever I release a new video, please click the bell next to subscribe. If you have any comments or questions or would like to go into a dialogue about this topic, please leave them in the comments section below. I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. Be safe, be sovereign, be well.